Alright, friends, I have a few examples here along with some things that I've been thinking about in relation to what's happening here. This is an example. I don't know what kind of neurons these are or what they represent in the brain, but I'm using this just as a generic example of an ongoing curiosity as it relates to remote viewing. The process of remote viewing, as it moves through varying parts of the brain, the signal, the input, the stimulus, the range of time and space, and how time operates here as opposed to out here. Let me give an example. Here's an example here. Let me turn this volume down and let me skip along here. So obviously we got a man-made object here. It's in the water. This is primary. One of the primaries is water here. And that's the first thing that comes up. Okay, now hang on. Let me back this up. Here's what I'm talking about. So I have a range of time and space here. I make the conscious decision that I want to remote view. I'm blind. I don't know what this is. All I have is a target ID number. That's all I have. I don't know what the target is, quote unquote target. I don't know what the range of time and space is. But according to how I'm looking at it, once I make the decision that I'm going to attempt to remote view this, whatever it is, this begins to happen. The selector mechanism goes into action. And this range of time is selected. I theorize the brainstem, midbrain. This level and this activity begins. That as an example here, some part of this activity is the state in which this range of time and space exists in. I theorize gravitational radiation. But let's just say this is what happens here. Boom. I make the decision, I'm going to remote view this, I'm blind to it, and boom, the selector mechanism begins to work. So then, the way that I've set up my system is I'm looking for proprioception via an ideograph to create a dimensional sensation. Meaning, I'm going to use, because I want proprioception and my proprioceptors to begin to translate this and give me some dimensional element of it, I'm going to use the ideograph to produce that by activating my proprioceptive nerves here. And by doing that, I'm going to increase the amount of neural activity. By doing that, just like this. So I have already made the decision in my mind that I'm going to attempt to remote view this. So the selector mechanism has already stimulated. But I theorize that the amount of neural activity that is active at this point is too low to make it above the threshold of my awareness. So in order to build the neural circuitry, the neural activity large enough that I'm able to become aware of it. This is a good example. Let's wait till this starts over here. to get to this point here. Wait, let me wait till this restarts here, because it's very, very important. Here. This is, in my theory, a generic representation of what the neural activity looks like when I decide I'm going to remote view. I'm going to select a blind quote-unquote target. My selector mechanism in my brainstem selects that range of time and space. So potentially the neural activity would look something like this, and then it begins to grow. Then once I start this process here, all this activity right here is making this activity here. I utilize my proprioceptors. An ideograph is produced. Enough neural circuitry is active, then this process happens. From the ideograph, now we have neural net building. Ideally, it will continue to grow. In this circumstance here, more ideographs come through. I'm getting some pattern completes here, along with my correct, let me go back here, my pattern completes, meaning in my brain, I don't have the thing, in my brain, as the proprioceptors are stimulating this activity, and it moves from the brainstem midbrain into the dentate gyrus and into the CA3 region, and I begin to go through pattern recognition, which can result in pattern completion, meaning memory association. So the association that is generated here is correct, it's water. As I continue to stimulate my proprioceptors, some of these pattern completes are incorrect, because now I'm in a different part of my brain. I'm in the CA3 region of my brain, where there is memory association taking place. So by that point, the neural activity is high enough to where certain elements are making their way to and through the threshold of my awareness. My ideographs are producing correctly, and it is water, moving waves and curves and moving across. So at this point here, if I were to take a snapshot of my brain, at this point I'd probably see something like this here, where this range of time and space is moving and stimulating larger neural net activity, enough to produce an association, to decode this and produce an association in my brain that says, okay, there's moving waves and curves, it's watery, this is some water. Pattern completes are coming in, maybe like a water slide or something like that. But it's true, I'm dealing with a location, a range of time and space, where a primary element is water. The man-made stuff didn't make it through yet, but I could say here with high confidence that what's inside of my pyramidal nerves, neurons, what's being translated, is correct. An actual remote viewing is taking place. Here's another example. Here, where the element comes through, I'm having a very difficult time understanding it. But let's take a look. Here we go. I have already made the decision that I'm going to remote view. So the neural activity in what I theorize as the selector mechanism has already selected the range of time and space. But the neural activity is too low. So it's here. It's here. I need to increase that neural connectivity. And I'm going to do it through the utilization of the ideograph, what I call an ideograph. Getting some pattern completes here that are incorrect. Something is happening. I don't understand it though. I don't get it. Something like that. What takes place here, I don't understand it. But the shape form is correct. My interpretation of it is not correct. But when I looked at the feedback photo, it made sense to me. When I looked at what I was attempting to process here, I can see what I was attempting to describe. I was incorrect in my assumption of what it was in the shape of the land. So in here, in my brain, there's not enough neural activity in my memory association to produce enough information to match what this is. All I can get is a shape form representation of it. I don't understand it. Here's another example. Here's another example. Turn that down, go back here. Grab that image. Here we go. Okay, here it is here. Again, this is why I use what I call anything targets, because I don't just do all man-mades or just all water or all UFOs or whatever. It's got to be all, it's got to be anything. It's got to be absolutely anything. So here I am at this point. I've decided to remote view. I'm blind to the target. I don't know what it is. But my selector mechanism has received a stimulus. Now I need to increase that neural activity through my proprioceptive nerves. And to generate a dimensional sensation that will increase the neural activity, there's a vertical there of some kind. Like the side of a wall, something vertical. These things are coming in, they're coming through. Basically what I have is a tall man-made structure. My confidence level is 70% here. That when I look at the feedback photo, I have a confidence level of 70% that this is a man-made area with a building and it's tall. All right, what am I looking at there? I'm looking at these neurons, these primarily pyramidal neurons, that as the ideograph is utilized to increase the neural activity. And they grow and grow and grow so that I can make it above the threshold of my awareness with an actual representation of this range of time and space. But how long does that take? This is what I've been contemplating. How long does that take? How long does that take? How fast is it moving through these neurons? So I had to turn to Grok. And I asked Grok, how fast does electricity move through neurons? Gave me an idea here. It depends on what kind of neurons here. It can go up to 120 meters per second, but that just depends on the type of neuron that it is. So what about pyramidal neurons? About 100 meters depending. I said, okay. Well, let's just take this as an example here. I went for the high number, 120 meters per second. And that's best case, kind of a best case scenario. But what is that? How does that translate into miles per hour so I get a better understanding of it? Translates into approximately about 268.4 miles per hour. And that's in a fast situation here. Specific kind of neuron, specific type of activity going on. So I took the high route. Okay. So somewhere in that realm is how fast the state of that range of time and space is being translated and moving through those neurons. Somewhere around that fast. That's pretty fast. So I started to contemplate how long it takes. By the time this happens, this is long gone. So this initially happened a long time ago, before this happened on the paper. When I'm here, going, yeah, this whole thing is a man-made structure. Yeah, okay, that's a... Between that amount of time and when I made a decision to remote view this range of time and space, in relation to the neural activity, it was a very, very long time ago. A very long time ago, in my opinion. That neural activity moving at, let's say, approximately 100 to 200 miles per hour, if that's right, if I'm understanding it correctly. That was a long time ago, between that and where I am here. Long time ago. That's really interesting to me. Very interesting to me. As to what is going on in here. It's in its own time realm, in its own time space. It's a whole different reality going on in here. As this is the translation of this range in time and space. Super cool. Anyway, that's what's on my mind. Many more to come.